For the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen.
All right, welcome to our regular meeting this Tuesday, March 24th, 2026. And first I need a motion to approve our agenda, which would include the consent lineup. I know we do need to take number 3 off of regular business per request of our state's attorney's office. And so is there anyone in the public that would like to take anything off of our consent agenda tonight? If not, can I get a motion to approve with that one change on removing item 3?
So approved, Otten.
Second.
Got a motion from Commissioner Otten, a second from Commissioner Aaron's. Alicia, will you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Putnam,
No.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Aaron's,
Yes.
Otten,
Yes.
Landine.
Yes, motion carries. Next, we'll move on to our consent agenda. Can I get a motion to approve our consent agenda?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Second, Otten.
Got a motion from Commissioner Schmidt and a second from Commissioner Otten. Alicia, will you go ahead and call the roll, please?
Commissioner Putnam,
No.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Aaron's,
Yes.
Otten,
Yes.
Landine.
Yes, motion carries. Next, we'll move on to our regular business. We have a drainage board. Can I get a motion to recess as county commission and go and convene as our drainage board?
So moved.
Second, Otten.
All right.
What
got
did you say?
I move to recess the commission and start up as the drainage board.
I've got a motion and a second from Commissioner Otten did the second. Can I get a roll call, Alicia?
Commissioner Putnam,
No.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Aaron's,
Yes.
Otten,
Yes.
Landine.
Yes, motion carries.
I didn't hear a word you said, so hell, I'm not gonna vote on anything.
So we are now in drainage board. Is there anybody from the public that would come up and wish to speak on drainage issues in Lincoln County? If not, then I will close the floor to any testimony on that. Can I get a motion to adjourn as the drainage board?
So moved.
Second.
I've got a motion and a second. Alicia, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Putnam,
No.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Aaron's,
Yes.
Otten,
Yes.
Landine.
Yes. And then I just need a motion to reconvene as our county board of commissioners.
So moved.
Second, Otten.
Motion and a second. Alicia, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Putnam,
No.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Aaron's,
Yes.
Otten,
I'm
Yes,
gonna have
Landine.
to have somebody, I'm gonna stand somewhere so I can hear what the hell people are saying.
All right, next item on our agenda is board action to consider a request for a lien compromise.
Yeah, I'm just here to help translate for our requestee.
Okay. Sir, can you tell us your name?
My name Tony Zakirka.
Okay. And what would you like us to know tonight?
Just talk, can you talk about what you're requesting tonight in your case?
Again today I come and I need pay for money. I can't pay money because before I have a nice life. My mom now I have a too strong. I looking for my mom. I can't take it a lot of money because I have pay for me. I just make it for months. One moment, please. Before I working for construction, never problem for money, I have it.
Hold on. Oh, come here. Yeah, no, you're fine. You can just sit right there.
I have it just like this for months.
Do you want to switch it over to the cam
Yeah, I
up
got it.
top?
All right, now they can see.
Can we blow that up a little bit?
This I make it money for months. Because my mom no walking, no talking.
And these are for public defender fees, is that correct?
Are these for public defender fees? Question.
Yes, ma'am. Because after second stroke, I need mom every time did for blood pressure, for everything, for every 2-3 hours. I looking for mom night and day too.
All right. Sir, any commissioners have questions for our applicant? If there are no questions, is there any public input on the request?
Which number are we looking at? 2. 2?
If there's no public input on the request, could I get a motion, please?
If I understand correctly, Madam Chair, the gentleman has requested to compromise $474. According to his application, it says it's for attorney fees. I'm going to assume that's a public defender.
It is. counsel.
I know nothing about the underlying case, nor do I think it's really relevant to my motion. Looked through his packet. Apparently, he's got some hard times. I don't think we should forgive the amount, but I would have no objection and to him paying. And I'm just throwing this out there for discussion, but somebody's got to start the discussion. I'd put him on a payment plan of $50 a month till it's paid off. That's my motion.
Second, Otten.
I've got a motion and a second, but I'm just, and I know Drew's not here, but it's already a lien. He can pay he could pay $5 a month, I think. So that might make it worse for him.
Well, if that's the case, Madam Chair, that's correct. I mean, I saw it as well. I guess that begs the question then, does he own property for which this is a lien in the first place? Because I don't,
It does, you don't
I don't know.
know, it doesn't say.
Excuse me. That's the question. Because I need for pay for me rent. I need pay for rent. I have to all paper, you know.
yes, sir, I understand, and I think you just
Because-
answered the question, and I did recall seeing it in there. You are a renter, which means you don't own property, so I think that probably answers my question, perhaps the chair's question, is that even though the paperwork uses the word lien, I think he doesn't have real estate to put a lien on. I'm just suggesting $50 a month. If somebody else wants to say something, I'd probably go along with
I'll
that too.
ask him if that was all
Well, why
right.
don't we do this
Can you pay
first?
$50 a month?
I can't.
You couldn't at all, 25?
Because I pay for rent 9-10. I need pay for gas.
You have a job?
Yeah, looking for my mom because for my mom very nice because my mom no working, no talking, just only left for bed. That's it. Maybe mom before I don't have nothing problem because I'm working for construction. My mom now for 2 strokes stop 2 times for
And she had a business and you worked for her then. Now she has no business?
no, just looking for mom because I need mom looking for night and day too.
Oh, you're taking care of your mother?
Yes,
Yeah.
Okay.
I show you for how much make it for month.
So Paul, is he currently working? So he's taking care of his mother in lieu of working, right? And because of that, he's 400, and he wants compromise on a lien of $475.
Yeah.
Right,
Okay.
we need to vote on the motion that's on the floor
Okay.
before we have a
All right.
substitute motion.
Okay.
Alicia, will you call a question, please? Was there a second? There was.
Yes. Commissioner Putnam?
Now, this would be for what reason are we voting on?
We're voting on it to pay $50 a month against his $475.
Okay, then I'll just vote no then.
Schmidt,
No.
Aaron's,
No.
Otten,
So you're voting against yourself?
Yeah, I'm gonna amend, I mean, I'm getting the vibe, and so.
Okay, no.
Landine.
No. Well, the vibe is it's just a lien.
Let's
So It's
just,
just like anything else in collections.
Yeah.
He could be
Let's
paying
just-
$1 a month on it right now, so we don't need to make it worse for him by having him get up here and say he's gonna agree to pay more. He's already said that he can't.
let's
so-
just forgive it.
So
I make that motion.
I haven't asked for a motion yet.
Okay, well, then when you do, there it is.
Does anybody have any other questions for the applicant? Okay. Now I'm ready for a motion, Commissioner.
There it is.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay,
The motion is to forgive the lien in total?
yes.
Just forget about it, Jeff.
Yep, for discussion.
Got a motion and a second. Any public input on the motion?
Linda Montgomery, Fairville, South Dakota. I would approve of this motion. I think that he is obviously in dire need of forgiveness of this loan, and I would appreciate if you pass this.
Thank you, Linda.
Any other public input? All right, if not, Alicia, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Putnam,
Yes.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Aaron's,
No.
Otten,
No.
Landine.
No. Motion fails. Next item on our agenda is item 4 on the regular business. Motion to approve a rental agreement with eBoom LLC regarding the fairgrounds being used for fireworks. Do we have anybody presenting this? All right, if we don't have anybody presenting this, my understanding is this is the same gentleman that, I'm not sure if it was a man or a woman, but the same, eBoom, the same applicant as last year, which we allowed to use the fairgrounds and entered into a rental agreement. After that, I'll call it a test run. There were lots of things that didn't go as planned, and we don't make a lot of money off of it, and I think it perhaps caused more complaints and headaches
Yes.
than what the county was earning on it. So I don't know, is the applicant here at all on this? Okay, if not. So I guess I would like to hear from the public on it if anybody wants to speak on it, but I will not be supporting approving the rental agreement unless somebody can convince me otherwise. Is there anybody here who wishes to speak on this rental agreement with eBoom?
I can.
Okay, go
Um,
ahead.
I'm the liaison for that, and Commissioner Landine is correct. We had a lot of complaints. I think necessarily because it was the 4-H County Fairgrounds, even though they weren't using the fairgrounds inside or the buildings. And so for just $200 a day, I don't think it is worth the trouble that it caused with staff and with the public. So I could make a motion to approve, but I will not be supporting it.
Okay, so is that your motion?
Yes,
Okay, can I get a second, please?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. If there's no further discussion, Alicia, will you call the roll?
Well, I just have a question,
Yeah,
Madam Chair.
go ahead.
For probably Commissioner Otten. Because I haven't heard anything about this. And so what exactly were the problems that were caused there?
I think Drew could have answered that question because he was the one that told me about it, and he's obviously not here, but there was a lot of public against having a commercial fireworks stand at the 4-H grounds. even though they weren't using the 4-H building, they had a lot of, he said it was a lot, so I would take him at his word.
Okay, thank you.
Drew said that he'd be available by phone if you want to call him.
Can we get him?
Well, I'll just say this, Madam Chair, after that explanation, I'm satisfied.
Okay.
I mean, I don't need him to make a further decision, so I appreciate the explanation there.
All right, thank you for that. So I got a motion and I have a second. Any further discussion? If not, then Alicia, will you call the question?
Commissioner Putnam?
No.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Aaron's?
Yes.
Otten?
So you guys are voting to approve it?
No, I thought we were.
We're voting to deny it, I
The
thought.
motion was to
To
approve.
approve it?
Yeah. You guys in these affirmative motions.
Well, I know, but that's what I was told I had to do, so.
I don't know who told you that.
I don't like him either.
Is this motion to?
The motion was to approve,
Approve, but I said I would not be voting for it. So
so,
it's a denial, actually.
so since the motion is to approve, Alicia, will you recall the vote?
You got
Okay.
it. Commissioner Putnam?
No.
No.
Schmidt?
No.
Aaron's?
No.
Otten?
No.
Landine?
No. Motion fails. Next, we have our board discussion regarding 2026 Senate Bill 96, and that is Commissioner Otten and Commissioner Schmidt. This is discussion only for this, so take it away, Commissioner Otten.
And I think that he's trying to pull up the PowerPoint that I sent. Here we go. This is laid out. Can you go to the next slide? This is Senate Bill 96, and it was on the Committee on Taxation by the request of Governor Roden. Drew and I, we were working on this for quite a while, because when we got actually into it, the bill itself is not very clear, but what they meant to do was to have the county be able to do the ordinance imposing a sales tax of a half a cent to be referred to a public vote at the next general election. But it was very, it was unclear in the actual bill that we could actually do that. But I talked to the guy that actually wrote the bill, was the Department of Revenue, and that was the whole thing, and that's why I put this up here, was because it was always meant to be approved by the commissioners, but then put out for a public vote. But the wording in the bill isn't really that clear, but talking with Drew and talking with the Department of Revenue, we can certainly do that. So, next slide. And so, this goes, it's referred to, we can refer it to a public vote if the commission decides to do it. And so, the voters also have a right to bring an initiated ordinance if we don't bring it. It does not grow local government, as all sales tax receipts must be reinvested into property tax reduction. This was one of the only, there was two bills that made it through that would actually bring down property taxes. And would you go to the next slide? And this is how they did it. This is on the Department of Revenue's website, that for SB 96 and SB 230 or 245, that $325,000 home, if we enacted this and went to a public vote and the public agreed to it, it would reduce your property tax by 12% or $579. And then SB 245, the same thing, that is a separate bill that doesn't have anything to do with the county. It does it at a state level, and you'll get 11%. So a total savings for both of these bills that are now signed into law would be $1,126 on a $325,000 or home value. So this is what we're going to bring forward. We just wanted the initial discussion to start because this doesn't take effect until July 1st. And so we wanted to kind of get a jump start on it so we could possibly put this on the general election instead of doing a special election, which is about $50,000, right, Sherry? Yep. So we wanted to do it, just add it to the general election, and to have the public do the say on it, not just the 5 commissioners here. So, Ms. Commissioner Schmidt, anything on your end?
No, I testified in front of the committee on that, and, the only objection that was ever raised was that if you're a renter, there was something that you did not appreciate the savings from the sales tax. But there's a lot of exemptions. There's no sales tax on ag equipment. There's a lot of caveats as to where that half cent really does apply. But it does have a significant, as you can see on the screen, it does have a significant savings for owner-occupied housing. And when you get about a 23% possibly reduction, that's significant. And that should, combined with, we've also had property taxes go down in Lincoln County. I know that people find that hard to believe, but people have reported, at least in my mind, over $1,000, some $1,500, primarily because schools have paid off their bonds and continue to pay off their bonds. So that means that, that capital outlay isn't necessarily there anymore. So I think the homeowners are going to appreciate in time a pretty good sum that they can apply to other things in their life.
And I know I've talked to a lot of people, and a lot of people have contacted me, and even though they're not for raising sales tax on themselves, they know that during, people coming from out of state, from Iowa, Minnesota, whatever other, like even people in, Burke and Gregory, they come to Sioux Falls to spend money, so they go through Lincoln County. And so all of that reduces our own property tax. So these are the only 2 that made it through session. So I guess I will ask staff, and I've talked to Drew about this already, to prepare a draft for board action at a later meeting to develop an ordinance imposing a county sales tax of 0.5% or 0.5%, half a penny, to be referred to a public vote at the general election on November 3rd, 2026. And I know Rapid City and West River, they are really pushing this, but they will never get it done in time for the Sturgis rally. So, that visitation out there won't help them at this point, but it will later on.
Sure. Well, thank you for the presentation. Anything else from either of you?
Well, there was another bill that 1235, wasn't there?
245.
245. And that deals with, and maybe Paul will be explaining that, but that's where your sales tax that are now 4.2% will be sunsetted and go back to 4.5%. And that 0.3% would be, that revenue generated would go into a central pool, and that applies mainly to schools to help them offset some of their cost increases. So I think the legislature deserves a pretty good nod and approval. I think they did well. But Paul, I think you're going to dig a little deeper in the weeds on that one.
Madam Chair, I've just got a couple things. And thank you for the presentation, Commissioners Otten and Schmidt. Today, I read through the bill, and I read through chapter, is it 7-18A? Talks about initiated measures. And I think that's the code section that's referenced in Governor Roden's bill. And I tried every single way possible to make the argument to myself that the commission could refer this to a vote of the people. And I'm open to persuasion. I'm open to seeing legal briefs on it. Maybe there's some creative mechanism that I'm not capturing. But they're just, in my analysis, there is no legal mechanism in 7-18A. And hope I'm citing that correctly. If I'm not, I apologize. To do a vote of the people. Now, I recognize that when this was being sold to the public during the legislative session, there were some people, some legislators, I think, who were saying that this would be a component to the bill, but I think they may have been speaking before the bill was drafted, or they were misspeaking using some incorrect talking points. But the bill as signed by the governor, and, I tried to reconcile it every which way. I probably spent 2 hours reading it today. There just is no mechanism of a county commission, in my reading, where you can refer this to a vote of the people. And so, mechanically speaking, it's like the Supreme Court, our South Dakota Supreme Court says, that the legislature meant what it said and said what it meant. And in this instance, it means it's on the 5 of us to make the vote and make the determination. Now, good people can disagree, right? We can agree to disagree. And I look forward to seeing that analysis. But I just don't think there's a legal mechanism. So for me, that's the mechanical, that's the procedural problem that I think we have here. Because I would have thought that because this is a tax increase, it also would have required a 2/3 vote of the commission. Nope, there's no mention of that. It just says you will pass an ordinance pursuant to your powers as a commission. Well, that means, you just need a simple majority to pass a tax increase. I thought that was unusual, but again, the legislature drafted it, the governor signed it. Now, with regard to the more stronger cup of tea that I want to pour tonight, yes, Lincoln County, fastest growing county in the state, 10th fastest growing county in the nation. We've grown by 10,000 people over the last decade. In my estimation, the growth is not paying for itself. We've been told that a more diverse tax base would result in putting downward pressure on property taxes. I just don't see it happening. Instead, what I see is government growing. It enriches some at the expense of many. I think the public, rightfully so, has concerns about some of these issues. Now, we're being asked to pass a tax in order to provide tax relief. That's somewhat backwards, doesn't pass the common sense test. We've been told that we have to engage in this constant growth or that we're not going to reap the benefit from it. In fact, today, I even heard someone running for office that said growth is not divisive. Well, I'd like to introduce them to some parts of Lincoln County. Just watch our planning and zoning meetings. The growth has become highly divisive because it hasn't been properly managed. And, you got campgrounds on golf courses and pipelines and prisons and data centers and dairy condensation plants and CAFOs. It's all very divisive. I held 3 property tax town halls with over 100 people in attendance. I can tell you that they're very frustrated, they're very mad, and they're committed and they want some action. They want some property tax relief. And these people have asked lawmakers at all levels of government for more fiscal responsibility. And I think some of the inaction by the legislature has backed them into a corner. And now we're stuck with a tax shift instead of a tax cut. There's no doubt rising home values have put us in this position. I think Governor Roden made a very wise observation last year when he passed SB 216 into law, when he said the following, paraphrasing of course, "Local government doesn't have to grow just because your home increases in value." He's right. It's a good observation. These are my two observations I've made. Over the last 5 years, property taxes payable have increased by 55%, according to a Kellerland analysis. And over that same period of time, median wages only increased by 16%, according to U.S. Census statistics. And that's the rub. Taxes are rising higher than what our wages are. So people are understandably frustrated and upset over this issue. And like I said, I think the legislature was backed into a corner on this one. It's definitely not perfect. It's not optimal. In fact, frankly, it's suboptimal. But the legislature told us that we as commissioners have to make this decision. We cannot refer it to the public. What the bill does say is that we as commissioners can vote for it, and if we would pass it out, the public has to go around and get the signatures, and they can refer it to a vote of the people, which frankly is unfair to them because, and Commissioner Otten, you know how difficult it is to get, refer a vote to the people. Takes a lot of signatures, takes a lot of effort, and whatnot. So, I'm not for it yet. I'm not against it. We do need to deliver property tax relief. I think when you do the math on this, a homeowner will save more money than what they spend in the sales tax increase. I think that's just simple math. You won't spend it, because for example, if a regular homeowner gets $500 in tax relief through this, or at least what we're being told you will, I don't think that the 0.3% increase in sales tax, I don't think you'll be able, your family will not spend that much money in additional sales tax to correlate to an increasing $500 increase in sales tax paid. So I think overall, people, homeowners, will see a net tax savings. But of course, we also have to look at non-homeowners as well. They're going to see an increase on their sales tax. And then, of course, we have to balance that against the fact that there's many homeowners who pay for services that non-homeowners don't necessarily pay for. And so that balances out as well in terms of how the taxes work in society as well. So I think what I mean to say by all this is there's good, there's bad, it's suboptimal, and I think we need to see, we need to hear from the public as well what they think about this, and I look forward to hearing from legal counsel as well as to what the mechanism is for referring this to a vote of the public. Thank you.
Madam Chair?
Yep, go ahead.
Commissioner, have you shared this interpretation of this particular measure with the drafters that put this together in Pierre? The reason I say that is because the governor himself, in his presentation to the committee, outlined the options of what this bill called for, and he specifically said that the counties could refer that to the voters, and or the county commissioners could approve it, and if the public didn't like it, they could referendum that and force a vote, or if the county commissioners did nothing, that the residents could bring that to a vote. So I'm not questioning your legal opinion, I'm just saying, have you shared that with the people that wrote the bill in Pierre?
And Commissioner Schmidt, I will answer that because I did.
Yeah.
And I got this back from the Department of Revenue. Clearly, the intent was for the county commission to refer an ordinance imposing a county sales tax to a vote, and I believe the commission has that inherent power. Perhaps that said, perhaps it could have been clearer. And I know that he also talked with Drew today, and the language needs to be cleaned up to make that inherently clear that we can do an ordinance and then pass it on for a public vote, which I believe, Commissioner Aaron's, that you held property tax relief things over the county on your own, saying that it was from the commission, which it was not. And so I don't understand why you would not want this to go to a vote of the people, is my question. Why would you not want this to have the public have a vote on this if they clearly said that they thought that was the intent of the bill?
Sure, I'll answer that. So first and foremost, you're incorrect when you state that I said I held property tax town halls on behalf of the commission. That's just not true. I held them as a county commissioner, which I'm allowed to do, just like you're holding meetings with the EMS people. Fine, go ahead. Anybody can hold a meeting. And I'm glad I did, because and Commissioner Putnam attended. You could have attended, you weren't there. I wish you would have attended. You could have heard from all of these people. We held one in T, had fantastic feedback from those people in T, as well as from the southern end of the county, who you represent. So they were great meetings. And so I even did a PowerPoint presentation, made it public. Please show me on the presentation where I said it was on behalf of the commission. I look forward to hearing back from you on that. Now, with regard to my position on this issue of whether the people can vote on it, county government, I believe in limited government. Counties can only do that which they are authorized to do by law. You can't just do things because you want to. You can do things when they're authorized by state law. Okay? So for example, this commission can't just vote to do whatever it wants. This commission has to follow the law. It's like you said just now, somebody was saying, well, it needs to be clarified and cleaned up. Why does anything need to be clarified or cleaned up if it says what it says? The reason people are saying it needs to be clarified and cleaned up is because, let's face it, Governor Roden misspoke in his public testimony. His public comments don't match how the bill was drafted. Let's face it, that's what happened. We're a nation of laws, not of men, which means that it matters what the bill says, not what the people who testified for it have to say. And so it's important that if the commission is going to refer this to a vote of the people, we just need to be able to have a citation that you can refer to that says you can do it. And just see, and I appreciate the fact when people tell me what my position is instead of allowing me to tell people what my position is. My position is in agreement with you. It should go to a vote of the people. But thank you for telling me what my position is before I had the opportunity to tell you. I actually think it should go to a vote. Just get me a law that says you can do it.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Aaron's, I'm following your interpretation, and I'm not saying you're right, you're wrong, I'm not doing that. But I would like to hear from the governor's office or from people that have drafted this bill, their interpretation, and see if that mirrors what your interpretation is before we really come to any final conclusion. Because these people in Pierre obviously have written this thing, but I'd like to find out what they had. But I want to mention, you've mentioned several times that you've had your meetings with people in T and Harrisburg, and I think that's a great idea. I think commissioners should have that. I have a district up in Sioux Falls there's about 15,000 residents in my particular area. And I held 4 Saturday morning meetings in which we didn't probably have the largest number. We had maybe 30 some at a time. And we covered just about everything that we go on in the county. And I would have to tell you that these are residents that live inside the city limits of Sioux Falls, and they really don't get much for their taxes because they don't drive on our roads. They don't necessarily use our public safety. They get the privilege of driving down here and paying taxes. And one of the things that they mentioned most of it all was, why don't we have a satellite center? You've heard that forever and a day, and well, we don't, because honestly, we can't find one. And the only way that Lincoln County would be able to put a satellite center up is if they rented office space. And I know good and well that no one's going to vote for paying for office space when they can drive down here. So I would have to say that the residents up there were not necessarily, and they pay high taxes. I mean, these are pretty stemmed up things, and some of them have had their taxes gone down. So I don't know if you can universally say that everybody in the county is upset. I don't think you can say that, because the population that I represent, I don't hear that as much at all. They are content, they want to have good government, they want to have it fair, above board, and by and large, that's all I can report. So there wasn't any overflow of anger or animosity. That's all. They just said, keep on going and keep on growing, so.
Thank you,
Commissioner
Commissioner.
Schmidt.
I'm gonna,
I was just going to say, in a rare moment of unity, Commissioner Schmidt, you and I can agree that I definitely would like to hear from the governor as well as from his people. And I think that's a good idea. We should listen to different voices about this.
Okay.
all right, thank you
Madam
for
Chair?
that. Yep.
I do want to go back to Commissioner Aaron's when he said that, when I said that he held property tax reduction meetings on behalf of the commission, and he said it was on privately. Well, that's not what I've been told by the people that you contacted to rent rental space. So I just want to clear that up, that you held this, and you said that it was on behalf of the county commission, and it was not.
Well, I look forward to you bringing those people forward then.
Yeah, that's very nice, Joel.
I don't know why you need to
All
be so
right, I
personal
think we're
about
getting
it.
off,
Good.
I think we're getting.
I
a
guess
little
I'm the
off
last
topic.
one. May I speak?
You,
Yeah, hell, just as well.
just don't swear.
We're speaking
I
about
shouldn't
Senate
do
Bill
that.
96.
Excuse me, people. I'd like to know what happened to the money that was supposed to go to the schools when we got the gambling. That was all supposed to go to the schools. That was how they portrayed it, when we voted on gambling.
You know where it went?
So now, we got 30-some years of money that we've never seen for the schools, which would have been tax relief. Where did that all go?
Went into the general fund.
Yeah.
Bingo.
Did they, but they weren't about to take any of that out for tax relief for the schools so that, or to help them out so that people could get tax relief. This whole deal's a three-ring circus, and I guess we got some clowns. So it is what it is. I'd vote on it too, the tax deal, or to let the citizens vote on that little tax deal, but we don't even know what it'll bring, Does anybody have any firm figures on what it would actually bring in for the course of a year, whatever?
the Department of Revenue.
And so how much was it, they said, that each person that owns a house in Lincoln County is gonna get?
I don't know if necessarily it was Lincoln County.
Well, it don't matter.
It was kind of on a statewide basis,
Yeah.
basic.
If they're all getting the same money from this little tax deal, it should have what it would,
According to the Department of Revenue and the presentations that they give, the estimated 0.5% sales tax would be $13,040,922, which would be about 97% of our owner-occupied rate in Lincoln County.
say that again, 95%?
Nope, that's not what I said. It is $13,040,922. This is based on 2024 taxable sales.
Yeah,
So it's about 97% of the owner-occupied property taxes in Lincoln County.
so in other words, if somebody had, let's say, a $500,000 house, and it was 6,000, and Lincoln County's taxes basically is 920. The township's 420, fire department's 20. The rest is the school, so that's taking care of all of that school. Nope, see?
Taking care of 97% of the property taxes.
See, now, I'm,
Senate Bill 96 is only the county portion of your taxes. It has nothing to do with the school, the rural districts, or anything else. It's only the county portion.
of property taxes,
Yes.
but 97%.
They're saying that 97% of the owner-occupied in 2024 would have been covered with 5% sales tax.
So
That's
that,
the only answer I have, because these are numbers from the state, not mine.
okay, so you don't know what relief they would actually get then?
97%. So you would take the 97% times whatever the owner occupied was, and then you'd spread it across, my understanding. But we have not got.
So if somebody had $6,000, 97% of that would be gone?
No,
No.
No.
$6,000 would not be your county portion unless you have an over $1 million house.
Oh,
Then
you're
you
talking
take
about the
away-
$920 portion of for the county, not the schools.
That's right.
See, but the county isn't the problem. The schools are the problem. You know, they're the why our taxes are so high. Now, granted, I'm not against the school by any means, but the tax relief should have been help pay for, I don't know, that sounds just goofy as heck, but we'll leave it at that.
Well,
Let's get on with this.
Doug, just one more thing. You know, the talk was that there are about 6 counties that would benefit from this. You know, Pennington and Minnehaha and Lincoln and Cottington and Brown and areas like that. But you get out into the center part of the state, into Hawken, Hand, and Gregory, and all those smaller counties, they might not appreciate the kind of benefit that half-cent sales tax would generate. So there was discussion, and then there was talk about, well, if I lived down in Stickney and I came to Sioux Falls and I bought something, I'm paying an extra half-cent sales tax that goes to the property taxes for Sioux Falls residents and not to mine. And that's true. But those were some of the arguments that were advanced. But in order to move this along, Madam Chair, I will contact the governor's office for an interpretation, and then we'll bring it back and discuss it again.
There you go.
Next, I would like to hear from anybody in the audience who would like to come up and address what has been presented.
Good evening, Chair and Commission. Chad Skiles from Canton.
Good evening.
Kind of an interaction thing along with some just overall questions that I hope at some point that can be answered by the commission or whoever needs to be able to answer these questions. First off, as an owner-occupied property owner, On the surface, this sounds like a great deal. I'm gonna pay less on my property taxes. But as a owner of rental units, what do I tell my renters? What are they gonna gain out of this? Nothing, right?
They can help pay the half a cent. Or
That was an
whatever.
argument.
Okay, so that, as a rental owner who tries to take care of his renters, I don't want to have to go back and tell my renters that, the answer to that question. Next up, the sales tax. I think it's important that you lay out, you being, just in general, the state, county, whomever, what is all going to be part of that sales tax. Because if it's going to be groceries, bam, you're hitting the hardest of the hard, and again, that's not helping anyone or anything. And so I think it's important just so that the public knows that, what is, because you said there are some exceptions, Commissioner Schmidt, like,
What were they for exceptions?
I don't, one,
equipment for one.
yeah. But I think that's important for the public to know that. What are these sales tax exempt? Because if it's not groceries, you lose me on that one. You lose me on it right off the bat. Lastly, is a personal request from me to you as a commission. For the benefit of your constituents, the citizens of Lincoln County, can you please leave the personal attacks amongst yourselves outside this hallway and not in this commission chambers while we're trying to deal with county business? Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public input on the presentation and discussion?
Nick Baruth, Sioux Falls. Once again, we don't hear any talk of cutting spending. Imagine that. Until we have a majority of the members of each school board, county commission, city council, and legislators who have the courage and fortitude to start acting like good parents and actually saying no once in a while to something versus like grandparents who have no repercussions from their lack of choosing to say no almost all the time. All of you elected officials have choices to make. And the people are sick of the fact that we never hear a conversation about cutting an expense. We have to cut expenses. Our leaders should start showing some courage and quit acting like grandparents all the time.
Thank you for that.
Good evening, Scott Montgomery, Fairview. I like the idea that you want to bring this to the people. We get to decide what happened to the Justice Center. You didn't offer us that, $70 million. We didn't get a say-so on that. You want to offer us something on the half a cent. I mean, I don't know. I struggle with that. I think you ought to involve us a whole lot more than what you do. I mean, this is like throwing peanuts to us, you know? And I wish you'd just involve us a whole lot more than what you do. Thank you.
Ryan McKinney Canton. Just a question. Have any of you heard how many counties are looking at adopting this, actually doing it? Has there been
There
any
haven't,
grumblings yet?
not that I know of, not that I know of. I mean, everybody can get up and yell at us, but we didn't pass this.
Sounds like only
We're
six
just
that
trying,
would benefit.
Commissioner, I don't interrupt you.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So it's what
just
passed,
a
and I've
question.
got to agree with Commissioner Aaron's. It doesn't say that we can refer this to a vote. It doesn't say that
And
we
that's not where I'm
can't.
going. That wasn't where I was
Okay.
going with this. It's just a question. I'm gonna write a little speech for the next time. But let's just say Minnehaha adopts this. Your hands are tied, you will have to adopt it, otherwise you're sucking hind tit. That's plain and simple. I mean, you're not gonna get your tax dollars then that everybody else is gonna get, so.
Anyone else want to come up and speak on the presentation and discussion? All right, if not, then we're going to move on to our Commission Office Legislative Update.
Yeah, Paul Anderson, Commission Administrative Assistant. More legislation talk. And I think in light of the part of the discussion of the last one, I'm going to skip to something and then go back. So what I'm here to do today is to talk about legislation that was passed in Pierre. There was a lot going on today. You've gotten some updates from me, but this is kind of a chance to just cover everything that was actually passed and for the most part has been signed or was recommended by the governor, so it should be signed any minute. But what I would like to focus on first, and we'll go back to some of the others, is this Senate Bill 245, which kind of works hand in hand with Senate Bill 96 that we were just talking about. This Senate Bill 245 creates a homeowner property tax reduction fund that focuses solely on the school district portion. In 2020, oh, now I don't know, now I'm blanking on the year, but maybe 21 or 22 or so, around then, there was a sales tax cut that was passed, and it had a sunset clause in there to set it 2027, to end at the end of 2027, taking it back from 4.2 to 4.5. What this bill will do is take that 3% from the 4.2 to 4.5 and put it into a homeowner property tax reduction fund to offset the school levies. They also, as part of it, funded almost $56 million into a seed fund, which will go to provide property tax relief on the school levies. So that's 245. So that's the second of the two. 96 and 245 kind of work together. And so 245 acts on the school portion. 96 gives the counties to act on the county portion. So now I'll go back to the beginning, legislative effective changes. Just a quick overview, some of these I've talked about. 215 authorizes the counties to approve a cigar bar in the county. 1320 revise a provision related to service of process for boards of county commissioners. Just updates who counts as being served and what that means for serving the whole county. SB 3, limiting the types of residential improvements for which counties, municipalities, and townships may require a permit. 135, protection for residents from increased utility costs and utility shortages caused by data centers, and I believe the governor signed that today. I think I just saw that in the news. So if that says that data centers must pay for the full extent of utility usage, and the state may not preempt or otherwise limit the authority of a governing body of a county to adopt ordinances and resolutions limiting, prohibiting, or regulating data centers. Senate Bill 91, clarify the procedure for petitioning a board of county commissioners for the change to comp plan or zoning ordinances. Must be filed with the county auditor who forwards it to the commission. Must hold a public hearing that are petitioned within 45 days. 237 I mentioned before, that codified a practice we were already doing of notifying townships of changes within their jurisdiction. Senate Bill 25, update provisions relating to the permit application process for energy and transmission facilities, updates timings for posting and providing notice, materials necessary for an application, and removes the need for intent to apply for certain applications. 35 revises the process for requesting veterans certificate of discharge from a county register of deeds. Just updates it, makes it a little cleaner, a little easier for veterans to get that data from the register of deeds. This section is about effects to emergency services. Senate Bill 89 has been discussed in here, creates a task force that will study emergency medical services this summer. providing it and the funding thereof. Senate Bill 136 makes an appropriation for grants to support the purchase of personal protective equipment by volunteer fire departments and declare an emergency. That declare emergency means it's effective as, the bill becomes effective as soon as the bill is signed, rather than being effective July 1. So as soon as this is signed, $5 million available for rural fire to submit applications for PPE grants. House Bill 1023 allows, includes hardship exemptions to allow nurses and RNs, LPNs to work or volunteer for ambulance services without getting the specific EMT exception, certification, and then provides legal protections for them to be able to do that. 1024 modifies the requirements for ambulance operators. That allows for firefighters and law enforcement officers to drive ambulances. I believe we've talked about this before. This means that if you only have one EMT, as long as you have a firefighter or a law enforcement officer who can drive, you can get that vehicle out there with the EMT providing the services and the firefighter being, or LEO being able to drive that. Getting into the property tax section again, so here's this was a big feature this year. A lot of the bills referred to property taxes and TIFs. 1245 doesn't impact counties, but authorizes municipalities to establish a local funding mechanism for capital improvement projects. They get to impose up to a 1% sales tax for CIP, capital improvement projects, and if approved, would be submitted to the voters at the next election. There's also a cool-off period for that, so you can only do it after it passes and you pay for your project. You have to wait, I believe, 2 years to doing the next project, to doing something else under that program. 1193 modifies the provisions of refund of taxes for disabled vets and surviving spouses. If the veteran or spouse meets all eligibility requirements except the application deadline, the commission may abate for the past 4 years. If the deadline is missed due to a pending claim, the board must abate or refund. 1258, property tax bill information provide property tax bill provide access to a state website providing property tax information. So that is the state asking or requiring the counties to put a QR code that will take the person receiving the tax bill to the State Department of Revenue website where they can access more information. House Bill 1260 allows for municipalities to provide rebates on property taxes, modeling after City of Sioux Falls's rebate, where if someone qualifies for the elderly and disabled property tax freeze, they automatically qualify for a rebate on their municipality taxes. Senate Bill 12, which we've talked about from Senator Otten, just updates the provisions for qualifying veterans and surviving spouses. Again, this is similar, but with the paraplegic, similar to the previous bill we talked about, but with paraplegic. Senate Bill 20 appropriates more money to elderly and disability property tax relief. Senate Bill 21 updates the income limits to what you see there from 17,215 to 23,265 and increases the cap of the refund from $500 to $1,000. Senate Bill 154, which will affect Lincoln County, probably because this will change the way we do it. I'm sure Carl will talk about this more in the future, but includes all garages and ancillary structures related to residential use to be classified as owner occupied. Right now, they're classified as other, so they get taxed at a different levy rate. This will mean that all ancillary buildings, instead of just the one garage, qualify as owner occupied. 245 talked about this. Some more funding appropriations and revenue. This changes and I don't think that this applies to this, modifies the distribution of revenues collected from severance taxation on new permits. This is mining. It just eliminates the cap on how much counties can receive from taxes on mining activities. 1012, clerk of courts can charge more. Doesn't necessarily affect us, but the more money the courts get, the less, the more they have to support their services. 1034 hopefully could be good, increases the fees for decals and license plates mailed to a vehicle owner. And I don't know how much it was us, but I heard from other counties that they were seeing losses on mailing decals and license plates to people who were requesting them because it cost more to mail it than it did in the fees they were charging. So the increased fees should help offset some of those costs. 1060, it talked about remove the 5% calculation requirement. Just it'll clean up the budgets, make them look a little bit better. And it'll be a change in the allocated funds. RAFE, Rural Access Infrastructure Fund, we talked about this maybe a month or two ago, where the counties can partner with townships to give them grants for, the state gives money to the counties and the counties partner with their townships to help fix structures mostly and roads. This says that if any counties haven't used the funds, those funds go back into a fund, the monies go back into a fund to be transferred to counties who have used them. And then it also appropriates some more money into that fund. I know our highway superintendent has been very involved in doing that, and the members of the Rural Access Infrastructure Fund Committee have worked closely with the townships, and I think it's been a good deal, for the county to be able to help the townships on stuff they need. There's gonna be a lot of election bills. I'll kind of just go over them quickly. Any in-depth questions probably should be forwarded to the auditor's office, but I'll just go over some of the ones that are on there. Require publication of the results of an election for precinct committeeman and committeewoman, and to declare an emergency. Again, that just means it takes place and should be in effect before the primary election. Amend provisions pertaining to the process of absentee ballots. You can create absentee ballot precincts, clarifies when the absentee counting board can begin processing ballots. SB 175, require that an individual provide proof of citizenship when registering to vote and to declare an emergency. 1030, amend provisions pertaining to the timing of municipal elections. SB 5, require the disclosure of whether a ballot question was proposed by initiative or by the legislature. So that'll be on the ballot for the people to see whether or not the legislature proposed something to the people, or if it was an initiated measure that got the required signatures. SB 30, add citizenship as a list of reasons to challenge someone's ability to vote. SB 31, the county can use a confirmation letter to verify registration. 32, amends, this is a cleanup bill, amends the wording for judicial and precinct committee man-woman races on ballots. Senate Bill 114, provide for the publication of ballot images and the cast vote record of automatic tabulating equipment. 138, revise the time within which a recount for a school board election must be completed. 176, amend the period of time before which ballots and other election materials may be destroyed, extends the time from 60 days to 22 months. SB 177, require that a voter use a black ink pen. And that should be most of them. It's possible I missed some. There's always a lot of election bills. So there could be stuff I'm missing. There was a lot of bills, so there could be other stuff, but that should cover the vast majority of bills that were passed this year. If you have any questions, I can either try to answer them now or get back to them at a later date.
Yep, questions from the commission. Commissioner Putnam?
Yeah, can you go back to that one with, you talked about, data centers?
Mm-hmm.
Because I didn't see it and I didn't catch exactly what you said.
Yeah, so it's Senate Bill 135. And so that is to protect.
Bring it up more.
Yep, yeah, I'll make it bigger. Is that good, or you want it zoomed in a little more? Yeah, so to protect residents from increased utility costs and utility shortages, basically, this is to codify that if a hyperscale data center is approved somewhere or built, that the PUC or whoever requires that data center pay for their full extent of utility usage rather than spreading any excess cost to the rest of the consumers. It also makes it so that, I believe there was something, utility shortages that the data center wouldn't get priority over, residential homes, things like that. There's a couple really good write-ups today, because it was signed today. I believe Callow had a good write-up, and Searchlight might have had a good write-up too on it. I think colloquially, they call it the data center protection or data center bill of rights, something like that.
All right, any other questions? All right, if not, any public input on the presentation?
Good evening. Linda Montgomery, Fairview, South Dakota. Well, finally, SB 114 was passed about the CVRs, audit logs. I've been coming before you for the past 6 years about these cast vote records, and they are the data part of the tabulators. The federal government requiring these two data functions would need to be on the tabulators before they were ever sold, and we tried to convince you of that 6 years ago. They were placed on the tabulators so that election officials, commissioners, and the public could have confidence in their elections, to provide the public officials with ease of audit of our elections, ease of audit of the tabulators. It has been an uphill battle to get this public data for the codified law to say that they are truly public data that we can have. Those of us who have been researching the voting equipment and then have read the Election Assistant Commissioner's Report, the EAC, that made it clear why the federal government required the vendor to make sure that cast vote records and audit logs were part of the tabulators before they were approved for sale and delivery to the state and to the county. I provided this information to you many times and to the legislature. I'm just grateful as heck that this was passed and it is finally known that we are not wrong. And we have been right the whole time, but we have been denied. Citizens have been forced to hire lawyers at our own expense and spend years of our lives providing this data to you and to the state officials and the legislature that the federal government clearly stated the CVRs were public record. We have experienced lawfare twice at considerable expense, and the truth finally is out. It is a step forward. If this data is actually provided to the public and to the commissioners prior to the certification of our elections. We in Lincoln County need the private for-profit company, ES&S, to come to Lincoln County to provide the training to our auditor with public oversight like this company provided in Minnehaha, free of charge, where the public was present along with an independent software specialist. The public did not participate, but they were allowed to observe. I understand the auditor and her assistant auditors were shown how to download the CVRs, decrypt them, and print the CVRs and audit logs. It can be done. It's not a secret. It's right in their book of how to work this equipment. It is truly time for as much transparency that can be possibly happening when you have a machine that is owned by a private for-profit company, out-of-state company, whose machine and software are currently being looked at closely across the nation for possible fraudulent practices. I am very grateful that this bill passed. It has good parts and bad parts, but it finally is stated that we were right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Linda.
Any other public input?
Mick Brew of Sioux Falls. I thought some people would appreciate an update on the most recent election goings on. You may or may not know that there is now 2 members of the State Board of Elections who are actually attorneys that are communicating with us that something was wrong with the certification for the 6,500 voting system. Just so happens, as usual, actions speak louder than words, but just so happens that there's still no certificate on the Secretary of State's website saying that the 6,500 system was actually certified. Why isn't there a certificate on the Secretary of State's website? Could it be because the verbiage in the certificate says that it complies with the 2015 standards when it doesn't? The Secretary of State's office sent out an email notice to all county auditors saying, if you buy voting system 6,500, you better not use it in an election, especially the primary. The beauty of all of this is the only way you can protect yourselves as election officials and commissioners who certify the election is to hand count the ballots. The powers that be, as usual, when they forced these tabulators and software on us, failed to remove hand counting from the laws. They and many of you were so complicit with what you've been told to do that no one ever bothered to remove the laws for hand counting. They're still in the books. And the Secretary of State has sent the message that the only way you can comply and run a fair election is to go to hand counting, because the systems aren't certified. Why would that be, that they didn't get rid of the hand counting laws? Because as usual, the whole establishment is so arrogant that they never entertained the idea that we, the people, may actually someday start questioning our government out loud and in massive numbers. You may or may not know that many auditors across the state have come to the conclusion that their best option was to get out. There is a large number of auditors in the last 6 months across the state who've resigned, walked away. And I totally believe it's because they see the writing on the wall. They've been duped. The only way to prevent themselves from being thrown under the bus for prosecution is to get out. Go back to hand counting. You all have to certify the election. That's the only way you can protect yourself. A reckoning's coming.
Thank you.
Any other public input on Paul's presentation? If not, then we will move on to our opportunity for public comment for items not on the agenda. Anyone wanting to come up for items not on the agenda, now would be the time to do so.
May I approach?
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks.
My name is Steve Garrison. I'm from Sioux Falls. My wife, as you can see, has a prepared presentation that I am in full agreement with, and so I'm going to defer all of my time to her.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for taking the time to hear my concerns, my husband's concerns. My name is Tracy.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
My name is Tracy Garrison. I'm from Sioux Falls. My family of 4, my husband and my two teenage sons moved to Sioux Falls, into Lincoln County specifically, in the fall of 2024. We immediately got to work changing over all our paperwork, including our driver's licenses, to secure our right to vote in the upcoming contentious election and our paperwork for our vehicles. All seemed to be going well until I realized that when my husband filled out the paperwork here in Canton, my name that had formerly been included for purposes of rights of survivorship and co-ownership on the two vehicle titles had been left off. My name being left off the title of our 2004 Toyota Tundra was most egregious to me, as I was the sole purchaser of the truck originally. It was my first big dollar purchase. This detail is important as it is my husband's name that appears on most of the threatening documentation from South Dakota. He accidentally blocked me from accessing information on our behalf. Big oops. 2004 is also an important date because the vehicle in question is now 22 years old. South Dakota is suggesting that two other states, namely Nebraska and Colorado, failed to collect taxes on this vehicle while we resided in each state. We resided in Nebraska for 2 years, Colorado for 18 years, Montana for 1 year. We've been in Sioux Falls for approximately 1.5 years. Inadvertently, South Dakota found mistakes made by us, the state of Montana, and personnel here in Lincoln County. Let's start where South Dakota requested correct documentation for our 2004 Toyota Tundra. Document B in your packet from September 18th, 2025 is the first letter from the state of South Dakota my husband received claiming that we still owed taxes on this vehicle. When I called the Department of Revenue and Motor Vehicles in Pierre, I was on hold for over an hour. When I finally got through, I was told that even though I could name almost every identifying letter and number connected to my husband and this vehicle, and any past identifying information, the representative would not talk to me for security purposes. I left my husband's contact information for a follow-up conversation. We got no call. When my husband called, he got no follow-up call or return call. Document C is the next letter indicating penalties. My husband and I came here to Canton on a rainy Halloween day in person to resolve the situation and were told it was out of the county's hands and the state had taken possession of the case. Only they could clear it. No one here could speak to what the state wanted besides money or proof from other states from over 20 years ago. They couldn't speak to any kind of paperwork we needed to provide or by whom. Document D is a threatening letter from a Lincoln County Sheriff's deputy. So, to unravel this mystery of we said, they said, let's go back to document B in the middle of the page, where South Dakota Department of Revenue mentions that Montana didn't collect a sales tax or excise tax. This is true only because taxes on this 20-year-old vehicle at that point in time would have been collected from Colorado, where we lived at the time of the vehicle's purchase. Nebraska may have collected taxes, but it is unlikely due to taxes being paid in full in Colorado or the reciprocal tax rule. The Montana mistakes and lack of taxes collected on this vehicle would not have been an issue if the South Dakota Motor Vehicle Division would have gone into the National Motor Vehicle Title Information System information system to do a title and name search. They would have found that this vehicle first had a title, also known as a manufacturer state of origin title, with Baxter Toyota in Nebraska. The title would then be found under our names in 2011 in Nebraska, and then updated to Colorado in 2012 through 2024. You will find all of those registrations under the large sticky note in your packet. I did not get any of this information that I'm giving you today from the dealership where I bought this vehicle. That's the first form that Canton gave me. From the Lancaster County Treasurer in Nebraska, how Canton had advised or what the state of South Dakota is asking for, or from anyone in South Dakota. Luckily, I was able to go back to Montana and Colorado and give them a piece of documentation at a time to find where the mistakes had occurred. Then I could maybe provide the state of South Dakota with the receipts I was told to present to prove we had filed all the proper paperwork with the proper people at the proper time. Sadly, in trying to find answers, I have come to the understanding that South Dakota does this to all newcomers from out of state. If a vehicle has been purchased or paid off within the last 6 years-ish, the dealership or the state's revenue department can find the tax information for the owner. Anything from before starts getting sketchy. This process has felt like extortion to our family. It is an unbecoming look for Lincoln County, the South Dakota Department of Motor Vehicles Division, and the sheriff's offices who would then enforce inaccurate information from the state. 5 minutes, or however much longer I have, is not a lot of time to absorb, cross-reference the data, or appreciate what I've shared with you on behalf of my family or any new resident to South Dakota. Thankfully, Montana has corrected the mistakes they are aware of, and we are still working toward having copies of our old paperwork so we can provide the receipts that have the answers to where and when mistakes and misunderstandings started. South Dakota personnel do not seem very interested in helping. So why, when I am getting closer to the answers that we personally need, would I tell you about my experience? First, I would like you to be aware that it is happening all over South Dakota. Second, I would like to see the counties have more information to help newcomers and all South Dakota vehicle owners needing to resolve title, registration, and tax issues. A to-do list would be very helpful. Finally, I would be happy to share additional proof or paperwork and answer any questions you might have. My contact information is in your packets. Thank you for your care and consideration. And in your packets, I would like you to know that I did understand that there was a document sharer, and I did white out a lot of information so that nobody could go back and take our identity and make this process even harder for us to resolve. So that's why I'm saying if you need original documents to compare with what I've provided you with, I am happy to do so. I have all of them here tonight, what I have collected thus far. So, thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
Can we ask questions, or do we have to wait?
It's just public comment. You can
But you
just-
can't ask, I can't ask her a question, can I?
Yeah,
Yeah.
She's got her phone number on here. No, it's just public comment. It's
Oh,
not question and
God, what a
answer.
crock of.
My phone number
I
is in
got
your
it.
package.
I'll call you, but it's just a joke that we can't talk.
Oh,
It's a joke of jokes.
okay.
And you find that in the whole thing there that you just said. It's a joke. And I'm familiar with this, because I'm an auto dealer.
Thank you for coming in tonight.
Thank you.
Good, you can take care of her.
Any further public comment for items that are not on the agenda? If not, commission office report, there is none. Next, we'll move on to commissioner reports. Any commissioners have reports they'd like to make this evening?
I guess I would like to make a apology for the last commission meeting, about what I assumed at the airport was supposed to be going on. So I called Helms and Associates and got straightened out, because now things have changed from what I'd understood. So, I apologize for that, which again is a joke. You guys stick around, I'll talk to you after you leave.
All right, any other commissioner reports?
Madam Chair, I just want to make a comment, congratulate the Lennox Girl Orioles. That took state championship, and also to the Canton Wrestler boys that took I think this is, how many years in a row has the Canton Wrestlers? How many? 9 years. Wrestling is probably the toughest sport in the world, I think, for anybody that's ever involved in that. But I think it's nice to see our local kids fare well in tournaments like that. So the other thing I wanted to report on was I spent 2 days last week, one in Brookings and one in Madison, working with the Interlakes Community Action Program, and they were doing their long-range strategic planning. And not to belabor this, but most of the programs that ICAP has, whether it's weatherization, Meals on Wheels, Head Start, all of the programs, social programs that they have are federally funded. So when the federal government shuts down, those programs now are in limbo. And what we were talking about is prioritizing, if it was a total shutdown, which one of those programs would you save? Which is the most important? Which touches, Meals on Wheels are for elderly people, that's probably the only meal they get. On the other hand, you got young children that that are impacted. So it was very detailed. We spent a lot of time talking about that. And, it's amazing how many lives are touched. ICAP, just a comment. ICAP, on their board, we invested $1 million in a kitchen. And now they're able to produce enough meals to take care of the eastern side, and now they have been contacted by the western side to set up these same programs, and what they have are locker plants, kind of, where you put frozen meals in for storage purposes, and then there is route people that take those meals to shut-ins wherever they may be, in whatever community they may be. And it's lowered the cost of production for meals to $8 to about $5. So you're able to put a warm meal in somebody's, on somebody's table for about $4.50. That's pretty good. So anyway, it was a lot of time, but I think it was well worth it, and they'll be coming down here and explaining in detail what their program really does and how many people in Lincoln County are affected by it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Other commissioner reports this evening?
I do. March 12th, we had a Metro Planning session again up at CCOG Building. It was the UDC meeting, the Urbanized Development Commission, and that's transportation planning. And then yesterday, my husband and I went to see our wonderful Senator Arch Beal in the hospital, and he is doing so much better, and I just wanted to give that shout out to the care that he's been giving, and he was actually talking well and laughing, and he actually remembered things. Well, the first time we saw him, we were really concerned, but he's doing great, so I just wanted to give you that update.
Thank you. Other commissioner reports? If not, legal's not here, so we won't have executive session. So can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, same sign?
Can they sell their car?
All right, we're adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Can they sell